Cool. Well, we're going to get started. So today we're talking about, like I said, side effects, right? And this means in terms of, okay, wait, maybe we do different things or take different things that we are taking for one purpose, right? But the side effects that come along with that. Specifically, we'll talk about alcohol and marijuana and then some prescription medications and things that maybe we have some decision over, right? There's a little bit on supplements and GLP-1 drugs and all of those things. So even if it's not necessarily relevant to you, right, it may be relevant for when you're out with friends or family and kind of give you an idea of, oh, like, is this a good choice for me, or educating other people too, right? So hopefully you'll still find something beneficial from it, even if you're like, I don't drink, right? We still can get some knowledge there. So first off, I just wanted to define what is a drug. It's a lot broader than most of us probably think, right? We think of drugs as drugs, right? Prescription drugs or whatever other drug you may think of, right? Psychotropics and all of those things. But a drug is a medicine or other substance which has a physiological effect when ingested or otherwise introduced into the body, right? I thought it was interesting. We all think of medications, right? But other substance, that kind of covers everything else, right? Also, our vitamins, our alcohols, or even food technically would be an other substance, right? So, and that's where you talk about like food as medication, as medicine. Kind of get that there, right? Yeah, yeah. That brings us to our side effects of that medication, right? So side effect is a secondary, typically undesirable effect of a drug or medical treatment, right? So a lot of times, the medication's doing what we expect it to. Sometimes we even use the medication for its side effect. That's kind of interesting. But what do you mean by that? So, like, there's one medication, or there's a couple. A lot of times, sleep medications. They're not actually sleep medications. They're like, oh, this is an anxiety medication, or this is a not quite. We'll get to GLP-1 stuff. Or like there's antihistamines, right? We take them for allergies. They make us sleepy. There's actually one it's called hydroxyzine that we use it just for sleep, right? Or we use it just for anxiety, even though it's totally not for either of those. So there are some medications out there that we use for the side effects. Today we're focusing on specifically like what side effects of these substances and medications are going to kind of disrupt our food and fat loss and everything, right? And which ones are specific to leading us away from health in that sense, right? I do want to like specify, if you're on a medication and you're like, I need to be off of this one, or it's like it's disrupting where I'm trying to take things, talk to your doctor, right? I'm acting in a pace fitness capacity right now, right? I'm not your doctor. And it's not to really discourage you from one or the other, just to be aware this may be interfering in a way. Okay? Cool. So the first one we're going to talk about is alcohol. I think do we all agree it's a drug, right? And a substance that creates a physiological effect in our body, right? But the biggest thing that we're going to talk about is alcohol has a lot of side effects. Right? People drink it, they may say, okay, to get relaxation or socially or all these other things. But really what it's doing in the body is not taking us towards health. So I wanted to outline that a little bit here, and how it takes us to gain fat, right? Like literally alcohol builds fat in our body. Number one, it doesn't have any nutrition, right? Surprise. Yeah, who would have thought, right? It actually, how we talk about our fat, our carbohydrates, and our protein. Each of those have an amount that equals a gram that equals calories, right? It's in its own food category. So it has 7 calories per gram of alcohol. So it doesn't even fit into our normal food macronutrients, right? But this is the biggest thing. Like, it's not like it just affects your brain. It's not like it just affects, it's literally affecting everything. So when we take in alcohol, and that's what this is showing, goes into our bloodstream and it just goes all over, right? Number one, it goes to the brain, right? It actually hits the back of the brain and then works its way forward. And so that's why you start to get off balance. And then as it moves forward, where we make our decisions in the front of the brain, that's when we start to get that impulsive eating, right? Like, oh, that brownie looks really good, or that fried food looks really good. And we get that increased appetite, right? Because it takes away our decision making. It literally says, okay, you don't have this inhibition anymore. Let's eat what we want, right? Or let's do what we want. I mean, the poor decision making isn't just restricted to food, of course, as I'm sure you're aware. But in the sense of looking at fat loss, it certainly doesn't help there, right? And then, yes, right. So then we get to our liver, right? And our liver is like, all of a sudden there's a toxin in our body. It's not like, it has to process that before it does anything else. It says, okay, this is dangerous. It's affecting my brain. It's affecting the blood. We got to do that before we move forward with processing all that food you just put in there too. And so I actually learned something here as well, but basically as your body's processing that, it's taking some of the same molecules and parts that normally process sugar and fat and putting it towards alcohol. And so it's like, I have to use all this other stuff for the alcohol. Now what am I supposed to do with the sugar and fat? Well, I've got to put it in storage, right? It then ends up, we get more fat storage because it's prioritizing the like worse stuff. And then we get that fatty liver and visceral fat. Okay, so it just says, okay, put it away so we can take care of it later. And then we don't take care of it later. Yeah? Anybody surprised by that? Right? And that's why over time, the liver, like if we keep exposing it to alcohol, the liver gets scarred. It doesn't work as well in general. And so that's just this snowball that keeps growing if we keep introducing alcohol in this situation.
Question.
Yeah, definitely. I would say I think the next one's on alcohol too. So. No, you're good.
Number 2.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Under number 2, it's not food, so it's not digestive. Is this why, like, the alcohol foods are really bad? I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
Right. So, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
I mean, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I even have any, like too much, like if I have sugar now, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm
right.
Very close to that.
Yeah. So typically, as we're going through here, right, the small intestine's in charge of breaking everything down, and then the large intestine's absorbing it. But yeah, it's basically just flowing through there, causing havoc as it goes. So yes.
Not that I have this issue. It's just an observation.
It's yes.
I have had that issue.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's another side effect, right? There you go. That's what we call it. Yeah. And so those are kind of like the things that's happening as it's going, right? The brain gets affected, the liver gets affected, all our intestines are doing all their thing. But then over time, our hormones also get affected. We had that whole discussion about hormones last time. Stress hormone goes up, right? We're exposing it to a poison, a toxin. And so once we get that cortisol, it comes along with sugars going up and fat coming up and all those things that go along with that. It affects our hormones as far as growth hormone, testosterone. And yes, we all have those, right? Whether we're male or female. And those are really important for growth of muscle, right? So if you're drinking alcohol and working out, it's like we're not going to see that muscle coming up. And then thyroid hormone gets worse, right? It actually affects the thyroid hormone. And so our metabolism goes down, our energy goes down, all of that gets all out of whack there. And then our sleep quality is bad too, right? A lot of people say, oh, but it makes me tired, right? So I drink it. The problem with that is it does make you tired initially. And then as your body's going through and processing it during the night, it becomes another thing it has to deal with, and it becomes stimulating at that point. And so that's why if you've ever, drinking and fallen asleep, you don't have very restful sleep because you're waking up, your body's getting all those extra things coming back at it as you're trying to stay asleep. Yeah. So pretty easy to say the side effects of alcohol actively are working against our health. Okay. Questions on that? I don't think we're necessarily surprised by it, but hopefully you can see, it's not just the extra calories. Yeah. Yeah.
As a 50-year-old woman, I will tell you, cutting out booze,
yeah,
has changed totally. Because I had it affected all my hormones. It
right.
made everything. It was terrible. No sleep, belly fat, everything. I was not a big drinker. I'm not a big
yeah.
I'm not saying I won't have a glass of wine. I don't even know. I can't even tell
yes,
yes. But I'm not saying I won't. But I feel like I'm living everything you just went through.
Everything got better. Yeah. So, and that's the thing. A lot of people cut out alcohol, and all of a sudden, that fat loss comes down. Right. But yeah, this just showing us it's more than just the extra calories, more than just what we're eating. It's literally the body's having to change what it does because of it. Cool. Then we've got marijuana, right?
What? Ganja?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
So this was an interesting one, right? The biggest reason is up here, the munchies, right? So it basically goes to the brain and changes those receptors so that we just have more appetites and cravings, right? It literally makes you feel hungrier than you think you are or than you actually are, right? Food tastes better. All those things just change your brain chemistry so that you eat more. That's the biggest thing when it comes to marijuana. We come down here and this is where it gets a little bit mixed as far as in the short term, it puts your body into this fat storage mode. It's still increasing receptors in the liver to increase fat storage. You can read all these different research articles and anecdotal evidence and all these things. Anecdotal means story-wise, right? Where they talk about, but long-term people lose weight on this and that, and it's kind of really murky, right? Partly because it's only in the last several years become legal, so they couldn't go through and do a whole bunch of research on it. But this part, like I said, is pretty clear as far as it does make us eat more. Yes?
I've never touched marijuana in my life, and I have all of this.
Maybe we need to figure out what foods to help those symptoms for you. But yeah, that's what this is saying. Unclear long term, but short term, it's not helping us, right? And then here's my other little input. Yeah.
No.
Go for it.
You do it, and then I'll ask my question.
No, go for it first.
Oh, for instance, people will take CBD.
Right.
I know people will take CBD for to calm down their anxiety, stress, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Sleep.
Yeah.
But they'll do it in a drop
tinctures
form.
Or
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is that
so? And that's where kind of this part comes in as far as long term. My sense is that we're putting something in our body that's changing the chemistry of how it's working, right? And so anything that's doing that, probably not great. And it's as far as the anxiety and that part of things, there's actually evidence that shows it makes it worse long term, right? That CBD, THC, marijuana in general makes you worse long term as far as anxiety goes.
Have a brownie in my
brownie.
No. Yeah, girl, no, because no.
Yeah.
It made me so paranoid. I was like, I'm never doing this again. I don't like it.
Right. So yeah, long term, there's definitely better options than marijuana. Right?
Rubbing the oil on.
So for one of the things for pain, it does, if we think about cancer pain and joint pain and all those things, topical ones can help with inflammation. It doesn't we're not putting so much on there that it should be affecting everything else. If it,
I do use it.
Yeah.
In my body sometimes when I got something.
Right.
The CBD oil.
Exactly. Yeah, and CBD tends to not cause as much here, and we're not putting so much on that it's going to get in the bloodstream and cause all these effects, right? Yeah. So this is typically the ingesting, right? Either smoking or ingesting it, rather than topical. Questions on this? Okay. Then this is where we get into the prescription things. So
No, you're not about to tell me that my SSRI is bad for me.
like I said, this is just information, right? So these are medications that can cause weight gain, right? And just being aware of them, right? And there is a spectrum. So a lot of the antidepressants is the first one, right? Antidepressants, we're taking it for our brain, I mean, like for our mood and everything. So that's like our primary effect. But one of the biggest side effects, and it's very well known, is that they cause weight gain as a side effect, right? So, and there are some that cause more weight gain than others, and there's a spectrum across the board of that. But they change our reward and cravings for food, right? That's number one. They actually decrease our basal metabolic rate, right? So because they're calming everything down, it calms down our metabolic rate too, and then our insulin sensitivity goes with that, right? So this one is, like I said, it's one of those things where if you're like, this is literally stopping me from losing weight, talk to your doctor, figure it out, right? And you guys are all doing the exercise part of things. Exercise and anxiety, exercise and depression, really big benefit across the board there, right? There's like some people, that's all they need, right? They need exercise, maybe need some counseling, and that's it, right? And so this is just being aware of that, right? Yes.
So I just reduced the doses of
Mm-hmm.
my SSRI, and I'm curious to see if
What'll happen? Yeah.
So I'll report back.
Yes. Let us know.
Well, I will say,
Yes.
mine, I'm on like the slowest dose of mine,
Mm-hmm.
and I definitely like have been able to lose weight.
Yeah. And that's where that whole spectrum of things comes in, right? We either look for ones that are going to cause less weight gain, looking for ones that we can start to decrease that dose because we're doing everything else within our power to help with the anxiety and depression. But just being aware of it. Like I said, this isn't to say, hey, you need to get off of it. If we need it, right?
You don't want me here.
Right.
You don't
Right.
want
Taylor's like,
Yeah.
abort.
Yeah. So, but this is to be aware that it is a potential part of, right, we don't want that. It's a potential part of everything that we're looking at here. Okay? Yes.
Okay, a lot of conversation, but what
Mhm.
is it?
No, that's great.
SSRI?
So, thank you for asking. So, SSRI specifically is for anxiety and depression, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor.
Right.
Basically, it changes the serotonin in our brain
Okay.
so that it's got more available to it,
Uh-huh.
and that helps us to feel happier.
Okay.
So,
One of the drugs is called Lexapro. I'm on Lexapro.
Mhm.
I'm happy.
Yeah. Please ask your questions. I mean, like this,
Okay, I have
I
a
prescribe
question.
these. Like,
Is there any studies that have been done to show like these ones are maybe a little bit less
right.
side effect
That's what I was
profile
Yeah.
than another?
So if you literally go on and look up side effects of SSRIs, it'll give you a chart, and it says, okay, these ones cause weight gain more than the other ones, right? Or these ones cause stomach upset more than the other ones, or these ones are more stimulating. Like, yeah, there's tons of studies, and you can literally see the comparison between all of them. So, right, sexual side effects are another big one. And then there are ones that don't fit into this category that are atypical, and those ones tend to cause a lot less weight gain.
What do you mean by that?
So they aren't technically SSRIs, but they're changing our mood. Yeah. That they just don't have it. Like Wellbutrin. You ever heard of that one?
Yeah.
Gabapentin is more of a nerve agent, but we use it for anxiety a lot of
I was
times.
gonna say that's
Yeah.
one of the side effect things because that's
Right.
what I take.
Yeah.
And it
So.
really does help with just levels up my anxiety.
Mhm. Yeah. And so that one we don't tend to see a lot of weight gain because it's outside of this class. Yeah. So cool. Other questions? Okay. So, and then birth control is another one, right? Birth control, the estrogen increases our fluid retention, and then we get higher insulin levels typically as well. And then the progesterone, appetite stimulation, right? They, in looking at through the research and everything, some people are more prone to getting weight gain from it than others. And there was long term, most people kind of stabilize there, right? But it definitely causes in that like first little while weight gain. Yes.
Again,
Uh-huh.
question:
Mm-hmm.
the birth control pill
Uh-huh.
versus like an IUD or
Right.
something
Yeah.
else?
So-
I'm gonna hear that.
So IUD, they don't find a whole bunch of change here, right?
Like,
Definitely,
because I don't have an idea. I
Yeah.
have one.
Yeah.
I do not have one.
definitely
My
the
daughter has one.
pills, and then the Depo-Provera shot.
That one is
That one,
whatever thing in the arm thing.
Yeah.
My daughter did all the research.
that one's the one that has the most weight gain associated
Yeah,
with it.
she's like, I'm not going to
Yeah.
college with that thing in my arm.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not going to college.
Exactly,
She's like,
so.
"That's gonna make me gain weight.
Mhm.
She did all the research. She can't take the
Yeah.
pill. She's been like, she was on like 3 different pills, and they all made her like
Right.
barfing from
And
that.
that's where like,
It was
okay, let's look at
terrible.
this. Is this really benefit?
Yeah.
Probably not, right?
And like one of them
And then yeah.
made her have 2 periods in a month,
Mhm.
like back to back, like 2 weeks apart.
Totally.
Sorry, family. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
But the
No, it's
IUD
true.
But the IUD
I have no
her
idea
IUD
what
has,
you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. They typically
But
still have
it's
hormones.
making
Doesn't
me
cause the same. Yeah.
She did all the research. I was like,
Yeah. So there's obviously other ways of birth control, right? The
Abstinence?
protective method, the abstinence, or
Oh, gosh,
um,
you tell us.
you know now. Yes, that's right. So there's changes happening in your body.
so that mine did
Yeah.
it not protect. She did it for fun. And she's now I don't care, whatever.
Good in our
But
stories. Yeah.
Because of the hormone stuff with it.
Yeah.
Horrible cramping, all that stuff.
Right. And so that's where, with any medication, right, and this, doctors are supposed to do this, but looking at your risk and benefit, right? Like, am I going to be contributing to weight gain or, really heavy periods or whatever it looks like, right? Versus what's the benefit here? And so, but it's also looking at that yourself and having that conversation, right? Yes. Well, Chandler, the birds and the bees. Okay, and then we're gonna get into some of these things are more about just informing you, understanding, like they do help with weight loss, but what are the worries behind it, right? That's what this next section's about. GLP-1 agonists. So these are your, I thought I had written it, your Ozempic, your Wegovy, your Zepbound, semaglutide, Mounjaro, all of those ones, the injectable ones, right? Where, I mean, you can't go without hearing it these days, right?
It's every commercial.
Yeah, whole bunch of commercials. You talk to, a group of people, at least one of them's on it. Yeah. We got-
Let me tell
right,
you something.
right.
When it first when it came out, I was like, what is Ozempic? I
Mhm.
have no idea.
Yeah.
And I sell pharmaceuticals, but I don't sell
Right, these ones.
GLP-1.
Yeah. So, and I do want to say, like, they are effective, right? We see weight loss with them. We see, and they're initially made for blood sugar control, for diabetes, right? We see that. We see benefit in cardiovascular disease. Like, you name it, somebody out there has said, I get benefit from it. Like, that's the nature of it right now. Let's go over these first. Like, you may have heard side effects wise, right? These are the biggest ones: nausea, vomiting, acid reflux, fatigue, bloating, abdominal pain. Like, everything in here does get affected. That's part of why it works, right? It slows down the food that's passing through our stomach, so we stay full longer, so we can eat less, right? It also does work on our insulin release and our sensitivity with that to the insulin. But ultimately, that's why we get so much of this. The other things, there's this big fancy word called gastroparesis, which means literally the stomach slows down to the point that food is not moving, right? That's something that can be, some people in a severe case will get that. Yeah, like just blocked up.
Yeah.
Very slow. Yeah. And this is typically a consequence of diabetes, but in this case, we're like putting it on someone because of the medication. A little concerning, a lot of concerning. Loss of desire for food. Literally, you may have heard people talk about, oh, my food noise is gone, right? They just don't have a desire to eat. And then with that, I've seen people who they're eating less than like 800 calories a day. So then we see malnutrition, right? And they're just dumping muscle instead of everything else. Muscle loss goes with that. Moody, vision damage. So there's a lot of side effects, right? Yes, we're.
Okay, I have a coworker. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I have a coworker who took Ozempic.
Yeah.
To lose weight.
Yeah.
She did do CrossFit. She does do CrossFit, not here. But she's in New York City. But she did have like the nausea.
Yeah.
And the vomiting a little. I think maybe like when she first started, but then a lot of it subsided.
People get used to it.
But she said, yeah, it does calm the food noise.
Right. It's a big catchphrase.
She trains a diet.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Like, he really put her on a food program too.
Right. And that's here.
And it helped her. So I've seen and she looks,
right.
and now she's off of it, and she's kept the weight off, and she looks fantastic.
And that's the biggest. So the reason I say why we're worried is right because we see the benefits, but the worry behind it is one, pharmaceutical companies plan for people to be on it forever. Like they don't have an off ramp for it.
Yeah, like
And she's in her 30s.
like
Yeah.
any diabetic.
Right.
Right. They want you to be
Exactly. Yeah.
to control your A1C or whatever.
And so that's the biggest concern. There's not long-term data. People typically, unless they have a really good set food program, they regain the weight when they stop, right? And so that's the big thing. Like if we're going to be on it and we're getting the benefit and we need to be on it for a little bit, fine. But we need to make sure this is what we're addressing, that we're saying, okay, let's change like you guys are all doing with changing your food and working on that. Let's make sure all the fundamentals are in place so that we have success with it. And we're using it as a tool, not a long-term solution, right? Yeah.
I had a friend that was on it, and she was on it for a bit, and she just stopped working out altogether. She just felt like she didn't need to work out anymore.
Yeah.
And so not only was she having all those side effects, but she was losing all the benefits of being fit and working out.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a lucky one because I'm on Monzero.
Right.
And I don't have any of those problems.
Yeah. And that's right. And so, and yeah.
My insulin.
Right. And that's where we're taking it for the purpose of controlling sugars, right? Like, so like I said, there is reasons to be on it. And I'm not saying like, hey, this is absolutely bad. But there's a lot to consider, right? That's the biggest thing.
Whatever diabetic, he's on.
Yeah.
Ozempic.
Yeah. And so, like I said, it is effective. It's just
he's lost so much weight.
these are the big concerns, right?
But he has the opposite of that. He has the energy and everything else because it's regulated.
Because the sugar is better. Yeah. And so that's where really like this is a big, popular one right now that we need to be aware of and knowledgeable about because there are so many people on it right now.
Yeah, so much so that there was like a shortage.
There's a shortage for a long time.
Yeah. Because I knew a nurse who was on it for weight loss, and then I saw her and she had gained a little bit of the weight back, and I was like, I just talking to her, and she was like, oh, yeah, because I couldn't get my Ozempic.
That happened to my
whatever.
Yeah. So my opinion, unless we're like, hey, we need this off and we need it now, is let's do the work, right? Let's avoid all these risks and help out that way, right? We have tools, we have things. When somebody really needs it, yeah, makes sense. But for the people who are out there just like, oh, I need to get rid of 5 pounds. Well, let's work on that, So that's our side effect discussion for that one. And we could probably talk about that all day, right? So, and then this is just about supplements. There's a lot out there. They are, as far as supplements, not regulated as far as what's in them and how much is in them and all of those things. And then evidence is limited for almost all of them, right? So like these are some of the popular ones for fat loss. caffeine, green tea extract, L-carnitine, capsaicin. All of them claim typically changing in their metabolic rate, right? Giving you more energy, so you have that increase in calorie burning. All those different things.
What is
Yeah.
keto?
I've never heard
What's
of
fat
What are they?
oxidation?
Fat oxidation is just burning fat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. L-carnitine's in a lot of like pre-workout things. Yeah,
I was like, I've never
exactly. And then capsaicin is actually in peppers. Yeah.
Oh.
So.
Peppers, like
Mhm.
hot peppers?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh my God. So, people
So
are
it's
eating
what
it,
makes
like,
it.
turned out.
Well, no, they're taking it as a supplement, or you can rub it on your muscles. But right, Chandler and I were talking about that yesterday. Yeah. The biggest, and this kind of, I thought this was interesting. These societies say it rarely leads to greater than 5% body weight reduction, right? They are supplements. They're not meant to take that weight loss further. I mean, they're not meant to replace anything we're doing for weight loss. Some people forget supplement means like a supplement to something, in addition to something. In this case, it would be in addition to healthy diet and exercise, right? And so, yeah, making sure we're not going to start taking it and all of a sudden it's going to change everything.
That L-carnitine, what
Mhm.
is that? Does that include?
So it's typically in pre-workout stuff. You get more energy, so the workout's more beneficial. Yeah. But yeah, those are our supplements. And that's our last slide. Any questions? I know we covered a lot, a good discussion. Hopefully it just gives you something more to think about and look at and